and now you're live here in the 555 studio. Harry?
Start again. Well, start again. Didn't even hear me. I just started there with the mute, but let's start again. So, welcome everyone. We finished the radio days with myself. Harry's doing the Harry's Facebook, which is used to be known as Live on Mass, the 555, and it's the Harry's Facebook for Sunday. No, it's the Facebook. It's
Is
Harry's
it possible I
Facebook.
could... Harry, I'm
Yeah,
going to be a pain here.
be a pain.
Okay, because I'm going to stop you before you get into the 555 today. And I'm just going to say from everyone here, thank you for what you've done during the year. Because this is the last chance in 2024 I get to say it. Throughout 2024, every Sunday, there's been something for us to talk about from the Facebook that you curate. And for me, it's been a very safe space to go and enjoy. And it has led me off to different links and different people and different podcasts that people we speak to here. And almost every Sunday, you've been the host there, an hour and a half. It's a huge commitment. And then you edit it. And I just think, wow, bloody cool. And I'm sure everybody here at the same time, here in the other studios, wants to agree with me and say thanks.
Here, here.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. I've only been joining for a few days, but it's really enjoyable what we're doing. Thank you.
So
Well,
let me pass over to you, mate, and go.
right, thank you very much. Good evening. This is Harry's Facebook, the 555, the last thing on the Autism radio days. And this is the Facebook discussion for Monday, the 30th of December 2024. So we'll just crack on with the first post shared, and it's from Autistic and Living the Dream, which is a personal blog and rising creator, PhD student, researcher, speaker, and trainer, they, them. And what they have shared is a quote from Laura Nemeth, which says, "One thing I made peace with in 2024 is that I don't have to. I don't have to go above and beyond for others. I don't have to always be the bigger person. I don't have to fix what I didn't break. I don't have to show up for those who didn't show up for me. And I definitely don't have to sacrifice my own happiness to please everyone else." Very strong and very to the point, and I agree with a lot that's been said there. What's others' thoughts on that post?
Is that the pleasing thing? I sometimes wonder why people want to do all those things. I know that I have, and I feel that sometimes as a pressure, and I resist it strongly. But it is. It has been noted in a lot of the stuff we read about ourselves after diagnosis that pleasing is an aspect of the way we developed.
From posts I've shared before, there's been many stories about people who felt that they haven't been natural to themselves because there's been a fear of disappointing people or displeasing people, especially in terms of childhood, and not want to be the child that misbehaves, do as you're told, and act in a certain way. And in adulthood, in many ways, just keeping the peace and not acting naturally in case, in many ways, a fear that you may be looked upon as strange or weird, which many of us, in fairness, actually take on, and we thrive with that, like being different. I know I have in many ways, but to a lot of people, it's quite damaging and quite emotionally draining. But it's also emotionally draining to try and please people as well. And sometimes you just got to say, F it. Just, this is me. If you like me, good. If you don't like me, that's sad. But I'm not changing for you because I'm doing nothing wrong. And I'm not changing my ways, make my life miserable just to please others. And I totally get that. And that's only one side of it. There's obviously more to it than just that.
It's also that feeling that others are a responsibility or obligation, and that can stretch you really tight, you know. Like, should I call someone? Should I make that call? Um, yeah, just brings up some of those feelings.
Yeah, I was thinking about the post, and it makes me think of that. It's like the pendulum goes from one side to the other before it settles in the middle. And I know that I've had to really recognize what I would call, like, I call them codependent traits. Like when I'm tempted to, like, people please to be accepted, or that kind of thing, which it kind of feels like part of masking. Um, yeah, I can't remember what my point was about it, but I recognize it, and I do think that after, if you've gone extremely into that more like people pleasing sort of side and lost yourself, I think it's quite a natural reaction to get like very strong about it. That no, I'm going to be true to myself, and then I'm finding that, like, being true to myself is like feeling gentler as time goes on, as I feel like I'm a bit better resourced. But I'm not going back to the self betray, that sort of self abandonment of the past.
Yeah, it's a greater perspective having been at both ends of the spectrum, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, feeling true to yourself, and I think there's just been so many times that in the past that you've held back or you felt embarrassed to be yourself because you don't want to. I mean, it sounds weird saying this, but sometimes you felt you didn't actually want to offend. Not like you're being offensive in any derogatory way, but it's like your behaviour may offend someone else because you're embarrassing them. Or in their eyes, you're causing a scene by being natural. Like, for instance, when I'm happy, I talk dead loud. I laugh loud. When I'm really, really happy, I kind of jump about and a lot of people are put off by that. And in fairness, I'm actually put off by other people that do that because I'm not used to it because of the noise and all that. So I do understand it a bit. But I wouldn't dare say to them, hey, you stop doing that. And it just seems sometimes, in many ways, people just feel a bit embarrassed by, especially the way emotions go. I don't know about others, but with me, I find it hard with emotions in terms of the moods, in terms of being sad and happy, and then obviously everything in between, like anger, disappointment, real sadness. It's like a lot of times it seems like a very extreme one way or the other, and if you do it naturally, people become concerned like it's too much in their eyes.
does it feel sometimes feeling, I mean, okay, if you're on your own and you're feeling all those things, they're your feelings. But often in relationships and interactions with other people, we're juggling a lot of different emotions, our own and other people's, and sometimes they merge and cross over and you can get a wee bit lost.
Yeah, yeah, I can identify with that. I do recall many years ago a good, nice, close friend of mine was going through a hard time with his now ex-wife, and he was telling me these stories, and what he was doing was just talking and confiding in me, but I was just getting that angry, and I wanted to sort it out for him. And I was not exploding, but I was just getting loud, and then I had to kind of say to myself, like, calm down, you're a listening ear here, just take it easy. But all the information I was given about and the kind of injustice and the way things that were going, it just got me so emotional and angry that someone that I cared for, a good friend of mine, was getting hurt so badly in such a horrible way in my eyes. So that's one particular example of when I can get emotional and then try to remind myself to keep in check. Not someone else telling me to keep in check, but myself telling myself to tell myself to keep in check, because I do know I can get emotional.
What I attach that to is a kind of elevated empathy. Um, we get into a state sometimes, for good or ill, that we are living the experience with the other person as they're describing it to us, and our other ways, because our brain is it fires off in other directions. It creates a lot going on as well, and often the emotions for me that come with that. The easiest one for me to express it out in the past has been anger, and realizing that you can actually express it in a different emotion and actually choose to express it in a different emotion has come relatively late in life, I would say.
The bit that corresponds with me is just going back to the quote, is the last line. And I definitely don't have to sacrifice my own happiness to please everyone else. And that really resonates with me in many ways, because happiness is a great buzz. Happiness sometimes feels very fleeting in this big, cruel world that we live in. And feeling that you have to sacrifice that positivity, that nice, beautiful feeling, is something that we should never have to do for anyone else. As long as you're not hurting anyone else. I mean, that's the thing I always worry about, is my happiness sacrificing someone else. I mean, if my happiness is just being happy, enjoying the moment, sort of thing. Even just that last Christmas there, just when I was spending time with my family and just being happy, and it was quite strange because the conversations were quite cynical and all that. We're talking about the ills of the world and all that, but at the same time, we're in this nice cozy house, this cozy room, the Christmas tree, and all the family are together, and the kind of sarcastic humour and all that was all there, and it just felt so happy. I was that happy that I didn't actually want to go home, and I was there till midnight. So definitely never sacrifice your happiness for anyone else, because happiness is important.
Sometimes I think on that point we're joy addicts. We can't stop ourselves sometimes just going for what we love. above and beyond the call of duty sometimes, and that strays into the inappropriate, you know. I noticed that the post was, the quote was shared by Autistic Living the Dream, which is Katie. So one of the first personalities I encountered looking online after my diagnosis a year ago.
The next post is from Rosie Weldon's Autistic Life, which is a personal blog and described as, I am an autistic adult that shares my life openly and honestly online. And it basically says, autistic behaviour is punished like it's a choice. We are punished for having a disability. What's people's thoughts on that particular post? Because I know the word disability in relation to autism can be divisive.
I'm kind of okay with disability because there is disablement going on given the relationship with the elements of society. I was more thinking about the poster's description of sharing life online, which is, I'm in two minds about all that.
As soon as I said that, it reminds me what Jules said, because I'm always wary of talking about autism as a disability because of the way my life journey is. Like, because I thought it was a disability at first, and then it was a skill, a special talent, and then today I feel it's an identity. But what Jules has said is being autistic in our society is disabling. And that is very true. No matter how prepared and you're as prepared and up for it as you can be, you feel disabled by the society you live in because they treat you differently, because the autistic way is not the so-called normal way, and people are taken aback by that different approach, even if it is reasonable.
Well, we also have difficulties with performing duties and responsibilities, perhaps tasks. These things are assessed in any kind of official assessment.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like the way things are, the things that you should accept the way things are, and you should fit in to suit the way things are, because society is set up in a certain way. It's the way that supposedly suits everyone, and if you try to be different, you're being a pest, and you'll either be excluded or you'll be given medicine to conform, or to conform, I should say, to the system that's in place. So that's why so many people do get ill, and so many people feel so bad about being themselves because they think that they'll be excluded for being that way.
Confirm might have been the right words.
Yeah, I'm thinking more about this post, and as the mum of an autistic um, schoolboy, I think that this is true. The quality of his education seems to depend on like the personal qualities that his class teacher has. Um, and there's definitely been times where I'm having to sort of explain autistic behaviour to teachers, and it's really difficult. There is like, I think it's quite hard for sometimes for teachers to take on feedback as well. Like one of the things I was saying is like, please don't stare right into his eyes. Like when you're having conversations, you're stopping his brain being able to process any of your words. But that even to take on that kind of the feedback can seem really like confronting for these authority figures.
Yeah, not to make light of that, Nicola, but it's making me wonder what happened to the wee suggestion boxes you used to get in public places where you could write something on a note and stick it in the box.
It is true though. I do remember in school the way that I used to get pulled up a lot in school, particularly in secondary school, because I was struggling a bit, and I suppose I was becoming the real me, and that wasn't conforming, I suppose. But I was pulled up a lot, and a lot of teachers used to kind of stand and stare right through you. And I thought, well, I take looking into their eyes is meant to be the way you're doing it, but it gave me such eye strain, and it was horrible. And I can remember a friend of mine saying at the time, it always sticks in my head, is like, this teacher was giving you a row and you were just staring at them right through them. And I never responded to that in any way. Well, I don't remember what my response was, but all I can remember from that is I thought that's what you're supposed to do. If someone's talking to you, especially if it's an authority figure giving you a row, even if it does feel a bit unjust. Although maybe I've been right, maybe I did something wrong. I can't even remember what it was. I just remember the discomfort of looking into someone's eyes or looking at someone's face while they're talking to you. And that's when I realise now that how difficult I find that, even now. Then I need to look away and look back and all that, but can I give hints that I'm not ignoring and things like that? But it's something that sticks. It's stuck with me.
I have a friend who's an autistic educator. I think she'd be absolutely amazing to have a chat with here at some point. And I hear her voice like so loudly in my head at times when I'm advocating for my son at school, and she says so strongly, "Compliance is not the goal." And she's so right. And there, she's somebody who's encouraged me and emboldened me to advocate for my son because that is really it's really hard. It can be really hard. And the other thing I wanted to say when Harry, you were talking about the eye contact thing, and it's so like my son and I had a conversation, and we were recognizing that the teachers that he does get on with, they'll naturally kind of do that. It's like come behind my desk, come stand beside me, and they'll sort of get alongside and maybe look at a window or look at something together, rather than this intense face to face thing that is doesn't work for many of us.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, actually, that sort of approach. Absolutely. I mean, the weird thing is, talking about that eye to eye, that face to face, I'm actually feeling strained by even thinking about it. It's that, effective. It's that brutal. if I dare to use that word. And I'm talking about something that happened probably about, Christ, 30 years ago. Yeah, that's 30 years ago.
And then you have that thing of people thinking you're ignoring them by not staring back or making eye contact, and that comes from this feeling the obligation of like pleasing again, like I can't let this person down, or give them discomfort, or make them feel bad about me.
Yeah, but it reminds me. I don't know if it was actually my own post, but it was, I can remember a post some time ago, and it's like, don't apologise for being you. And that kind of resonates right now from what we're talking about. It's like, yeah, someone's talking to you and you look away. And when someone is talking to me and I look away, what I'm doing is I'm concentrating on what they're saying. But then I look back just to kind of let them know that I'm still listening. Sometimes I'm kind of listening to and the kind of habits that I've got now, like being on a phone or looking at something else, basically. Just looking at something else. So you're kind of relaxed and you can take the words in. It may look ignorant, but it certainly isn't. And I certainly seem to take words in a lot better if I don't feel that my eyes are straining to make eye contact with the person that's actually speaking. The next post is actually going down right a bit. It's going back to the 27th of December. And I don't think we've touched on it. And it's from Yen Purkis' Neurodiversity page, who's a writer and rising creator, a place to promote awareness of autism, spectrum conditions, and share ideas around neurodiversity. And what they've shared is about a list of autistic celebrities, which she's included. And it's actually Australian celebrities with autism. And I'll just go through the. It's from Maple Community Services. I'll just go through the article. Just some of the discussion piece. And it says, understanding as autism spectrum disorder in Australia. Autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects communication, social interactions, and behaviours. It's called a spectrum because autism manifests uniquely in every person, ranging from subtle differences to more pronounced challenges. For over 20,000 Australians on the spectrum, autism is not a limitation but a different way of experiencing and contributing to the world. Neurodiversity celebrates the natural variations in how our brains work, emphasising that these differences bring unique perspectives, skills, and creativity to society. Embracing neurodiversity helps us build a more inclusive world that values and nurtures the talents of everyone, including those on the spectrum. Australians on the autism spectrum are making remarkable contributions across fields like the arts, science, and autism advocacy. Their stories not only inspire but also challenge misconceptions about autism. By shining a light on their achievements, we can encourage a greater understanding and appreciation for the unique strengths that come from being neurodiverse. So the first person to share is Tim Sharp, who is a renowned Australian artist and the creative genius behind Laser Beakman, a whimsical superhero character that has captured hearts around the globe, diagnosed with autism at age 3 and initially non-verbal stroke non-speaking. Tim began expressing himself through art, creating Laserbeak Man at just 11 years old. Today, his vibrant and imaginative artwork has earned international acclaim, with exhibitions in New York, London and Sydney. Tim's iconic superhero character was brought to life in a critically acclaimed stage production by the Dead Puppet Society, showcased at venues like the Sydney Opera House and Brisbane Festival. Through his art and storytelling, Tim challenges misconceptions about autism, demonstrating its potential to foster extraordinary creativity and humour. As an advocate for autism awareness and acceptance, Tim inspires many Australians by proving that a diagnosis is not a limitation, but an invitation to embrace your unique potential. The next one is Michael Theo, who's formerly known as Michael Rolfe, is a celebrated Australian television personality, podcast host, and an autism advocate who has captured hearts with his authenticity and charm. He rose to prominence on the hit TV series Love on the Spectrum, which explores the world of dating and relationship among autistic adults. Michael's candid and heartfelt journey on the show brought a fresh, authentic perspective to viewers worldwide. Beyond television, Michael hosts the popular Mr. A Plus podcast, where he interviews a wide range of guests and shares his unique insights on life, relationships, and more. Through media engagements and public speaking, he passionately advocates for autism awareness and acceptance, breaking down stereotypes and encouraging understanding. Michael's work is a beacon of inspiration for those on the spectrum, encouraging them to embrace their uniqueness and pursue their dreams. His message of inclusion and celebration of neurodiversity resonates with audiences, making him a powerful voice for the autistic community. There is 3 more, but I'd like to kind of pause so that people can share thoughts.
Okay, there's loads of directions this could go in. Initially, I was a bit resistant to this post, but I can see that having positive role models and inspirations in the celebrity environment is important. It's happened in many other minority fields. But I can see that there used to be this thing I noticed over the past year where people almost were playing a game of spot the autistic. Not even getting to the level of outing anyone, but assuming and maybe projecting even. But it is important, I think. But again, it's this whole thing about celebrity as well, as role models. One or two of these I know of. I think Chloe Hayden's quite popular amongst the autistic community. I don't know too much about her. But certain actors, and these TV shows are popular in the community too. Different generations. But I think the tangent I might have been tempted to take it on was, rather than celebrity, it's like creativity and what creative fields and industries out there may or may not have been more honest and more helpful to the autistic experience. Because I often played that game myself sometimes over the past year of looking back into things like favourites of mine and people I really responded to and thought there must have been a connection, with certain artists, singers, musicians, writers, performers. So I'll leave it at that.
Um, it made me think. It made me think a lot of things, and then I was thinking about Scottish culture compared to like Australian culture. And when I was in New Zealand, one of the things that I missed was like Scottish humour. And so I do think that there's like if we did this, I feel if there was like a Scottish celebration of like autistic prominent people, it would have a different vibe anyway. I know that I would be like, please confirm Brady be there because I think me and Fern Brady would be really good friends. I think she's really funny. In our book, I saw so much of my life experience in her book, and I love her comedy. I just feel like she just makes me laugh, and I just hope that some of this work leads to us to having much more like autistic comedy because it's so much more funny, I think.
Yeah, Fern's got this lovely kind of Edinburgh accent, the one I used to call the Stockbridge accent, even though I think she comes from one of the outer villages.
It's like I feel like as autistic people can often have slight twangs to our accent that don't really reflect where we come from. But yeah, like Fern's from the same region as me as well, and like so much of the things that she talks about are just like that. Yeah, that was my adolescence. That was my life, and a lot of my friends were Catholic as well, and that's like a big part of the story that she tells too, and it's just so relatable.
Yeah, and she grew up with that place where I can't. When you go blank on a famous person's name, the singer that won.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I think they're neighbouring. So there's Badgate and Whitburn. Is it not Whitburn that the famous
But
singer
but
lady?
but but, but who is the singer? What's her name? I've gone blank.
Oh, yeah,
Susan Boyle.
Susan Boyle.
yeah.
Oh, thanks, Harry.
Yeah, West Lothian's got a lot of like quite cool people actually. We've got like there's Lewis Capaldi and he's a neurodivergent singer. So yeah, and then not far away in Grangemouth we had the Cocktail Twins. So
Are you calling the Cocktail Twins neurodivergent? I mean, I've followed
yeah,
them
how could they
everywhere.
not be? That's like the
Well,
most funny singing ever.
yeah. Well, the way she
Guys,
plays with her
guys, guys,
hands.
guys, guys, guys,
Oh,
guys,
we're going to go off on a passion here.
guys,
Uh-oh.
guys, 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 guys. One of our company policies: if you do not have good evidence that somebody in the public eye, do not out here.
Sorry, Cocktail Twins.
That will be cut out. All of that.
Yeah, it's for good reason.
Don't worry about it. Sometimes people just forget that we're actually live. It's just like conversation is went natural, which is great, but I totally understand our situation. We need to be fair. But I will
Yeah.
continue with the Australian ones. And the next one is Chloe Hayden, who we've actually shared quite a lot of stuff from our Facebook page, a lot of things that they've done. And just say that Chloe Hayden is an Australian actress, author, and advocate who uses her voice and creativity to make the world a more understanding and inclusive place for people with disabilities. Through her role as Quinny Gallagher Jones in the Netflix series Heartbreak High, Chloe authentically brings life to the experience of an autistic teenager, offering visibility and representations for autistic Australians in a way rarely seen in mainstream media. Her book, Different Not Less, shares a deeply personal journey growing up as a young person with autism and ADHD. With honesty and vulnerability, Chloe offers readers insight into her challenges and triumphs, helping others feel seen and understood. Beyond her work in the media, she actively raises awareness about neurodiversity, mental health, and self acceptance, encouraging society to break down stereotypes and build spaces where everyone feels valued. Chloe's work is driven by compassion and a desire to empower others, and particularly young people, to embrace their unique identities. By sharing her story and advocating for change, she helps create a world that celebrates differences and supports everyone to thrive. Next one is Orion Kelly, who is a comedian, actor, and dedicated autism advocate who uses his talents to educate, entertain, and support the autism community. Through his popular YouTube channel, That Autistic Guy, Orion creates engaging videos that blend humour and personal experience to shed light on life as an autistic person, making the topic relatable and accessible to a wide audience. In his podcast, the Autistic Guy podcast, Orion dives deeper into issues that matter to the autism community, offering thoughtful discussions and practical advice for people living with autism and their families. His stand-up comedy performances also draw on his own experiences, using laughter to challenge misconceptions and promote understanding. Orion's work goes beyond entertainment. He is a passionate advocate for breaking down barriers and fostering inclusivity. By sharing his journey with sensitivity and humour, he not only educates others but also provides valuable resources and sense of connection for the autism community. Next one, it's actually the person who actually shared this post, Yen Purkis, who is a renowned author, speaker, and autism advocate who has dedicated their life to promoting understanding and empowerment within the autism community. Yen has authored several influential books, including the awesome Autistic Go-To Guide and the Guide to Good Mental Health on the Autism Spectrum, which offer practical advice for people living with autism and their families. As an active speaker at conferences and events, Yen shares their experiences and expertise on autism and mental health, with a special focus on the intersection of autism and the LGBTQIA+ community. Their work extends to providing workshops and training for organisations and professionals, helping to create more inclusive and supportive environments. Yen's advocacy encourages self-advocacy, resilience and confidence among those living with autism, empowering them to embrace their strengths and navigate challenges. Recognised with accolades like the AST Volunteer of the Year Award, Yen's contributions continue to inspire and uplift the autism community. I'll take a break there. There's a few more, but I'll take a break there for people's thoughts.
Yeah, it's quite a long post you're reading out there, Harry. Well done. I was just reading a wee bit further into people like Temple Grandin and that, but I don't have much to say about the ones so far not being so connected to that culture.
I've watched some of Orion Kelly's videos on YouTube and found them quite helpful. Like, I think, yeah, he's got that comedian side as well, but actually goes into like quite deep topics. And yeah, like some of the more real and painful things I think we've covered in the 444s and 555s like this week. Like he doesn't shy away from addressing some quite serious stuff too. Oh, it's awesome. It just feels like these people have just been finding a path, and it's all starting to. It's like really great seeing what they're achieving.
So, what might be the definition of celebrity here then? Because if somebody's on YouTube and they get quite a following, that in a sense is a celebrity too. But some of these people have this added kind of clout of being sort of TV stars or writers, perhaps, or advocates. Well known, I suppose, is what celebrity is defined as. But so can be someone with a YouTube following. So there are people I follow on YouTube related to autism too, but they're none of these people, and they are slightly different. They're more sort of like thinkers, say, or writers.
Yeah, I just want to say, Harry, sorry for the interjection earlier. I panicked when we do have a kind of policy that we've discussed before about mentioning people, outing people, and I think the basic thing is that if it doesn't affect the person, if they are immune from that kind of suggestion in their lives, like a dead monarch, as I did yesterday, or even suggesting that the King of England at the moment might be neurodiverse, that would feel to me so far away from affecting the person. But even quite minor celebrities, they have their whole value based on certain fantasy around them. So people who appear powerful can be affected quite badly by the suggestion or the rumour that they might be neurodivergent, ADHD or autistic, because the expectation is that they may even be psychopathic or another version of neurodivergence. So it's I think that's about where we stand. So can we just check with the people who are making the programs at the moment that that's roughly where they stand as well?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Jules. It's easy to offend and it's easy to cause mayhem, I suppose, especially when things are online, especially something like this. So I do understand what you're saying, and I totally agree with you.
I want to point out we make the rules here. We are totally pirate. There's no Ofcom. There's no regulation of what we're doing here. Part of the
There,
reason we're a bit scary to the establishment. This is our own self-choosing of what we do and what we do not do. You know, shock jocks can be out there and make all kinds of horrible, untrue allegations out there with immunity, and nobody is going to sue this charity that's already protected in various ways anyway. Um, it's it's really what we as a group decide, and I think what I said is roughly where we are. But I think I should, ask again: is that roughly where we are?
It feels right. It feels like I'm glad that we're having this conversation, and it feels right to kind of go with that principle.
It is an ethical thing. We make up our own rules because there's no regulation of us. But we have to have what we feel is a shared set of values.
good luck with that one, mate.
Which is a process.
Well, Jules says, I mean, we make our own rules and we're nice people, and everything that's being said, or even if it's misunderstood, nothing was done intentionally to hurt or maim. It was just conversation. And the conversation that was said earlier on was just this nice, natural flow conversation, talking about basically potentially Scottish version of the Australian list that we were going through. And saying it's an Australian list, the list goes on a little bit for people that aren't actually Australian. So maybe it's Australian at first, and then it's just a connection with others that are well known. And the next one is Dr. Temple Grandin, who is a renowned American scientist, author, and advocate who has made significant contributions to the fields of animal behaviour and autism awareness. Diagnosed with autism as a young child, she overcame challenges to become a leading expert in the human's treatment of livestock, revolutionising the livestock industry with her innovative designs for animal handling systems. Her work has improved the welfare of millions of animals worldwide. Grandin is also an influential voice for autism advocacy. She has written extensively about her experiences, providing insight into the autistic mind and offering guidance to those on the spectrum and their families. Her book, Thinking in Pictures, is particularly celebrated for explaining how her visual thinking, an aspect of her autism, allowed her to succeed in both science and design. Temple's autism diagnosis played a central role in shaping her life. Her ability to think visually and focus deeply on specific interests fueled her groundbreaking work in animal science. While she faced social and sensory challenges, she used her unique perspective to innovate and excel, proving that autism is not a limitation but a different way of experiencing and contributing to the world. Today, Temple Grandin is an inspiration to countless people, showing how embracing neurodiversity can lead to extraordinary achievements. Her story continues to inspire people living with autism, advocating for acceptance, understanding, and the celebration of diverse minds. And the final one is Greta Thunberg, who is a Swedish climate activist who has become a global symbol for environmental advocacy and youth-led movements. At just 15 years old, she began a climate strike outside the Swedish Parliament, inspiring millions of young people worldwide to join her in demanding urgent action to combat climate change. Her efforts have led to address world leaders at the United Nations and other high-profile platforms, where she delivers powerful, no-nonsense messages about climate crisis. Greta has received numerous accolades for her activism, including being named Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2019, making her the youngest person to ever receive the title. She has also been nominated multiple times for the Nobel Peace Prize and continues to push for systematic change to reduce carbon emissions and mitigate climate change impacts. Greta has openly discussed her autism diagnosis, referring it as her superpower. Diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, she credits her condition with giving her the clarity and focus to see the urgency of the climate crisis. Greta's ability to think in straightforward, logical terms and persistence in advocating her beliefs are traits she associates with her neurodivergence. Her openness about being on the autism spectrum has helped challenge stereotypes about neurodiverse folk, showing that autism can be a strength. She uses her platform to highlight the importance of diverse voices in solving global issues, inspiring others to embrace their differences and fight for a cause they believe in. So what's your thoughts on this?
Platform is a bit of a word, isn't it? To get a platform. I used to have a get out of jail card whenever I was considering celebrities and their influence, and it was like, I don't know them personally, but sometimes you feel you do, and they can have a great influence sometimes. And I did check out Temple Grandin as at the beginning, because I think that's the name that often came up when you were wanting to get back into the roots of information about your diagnosis. Greta Thunberg. Yeah, I'm not so sure.
I've seen Temple Grandin speak once when I went to the Ecolicon conference. I think it might have been 2022 or 2023. I was significantly underwhelmed by what she said. She came across as a redneck Republican, ABA toting, do it my way kind of person, inflexible in her thinking. However, I think groundbreaking what she originally managed to break through, and the way she, sometimes it's the personality of somebody that manages to get the attention to people who thought in visual ways and visual styles, and she did get a lot of conversations happening around autism that would not otherwise have happened. I do feel that most of the people that I was as initially exposed to in autism when I was diagnosed are people that have had their day. The purpose, the thing around them has kind of made something else happen that's better than that. And no, we don't have to keep going back to the roots. We actually need to move forward with the information and what we've adapted it to be.
Yeah, the Temple Grandin one has been the one that's been around for a long time, and that was one, or maybe the example that was given as someone successful that could, someone to inspire or to aspire to be. I never looked into Temple Grandin myself. I was just aware of the name and about the animals and about certain aspects of things, in terms of relationship to animals, in terms it's the expertise of that, etc. But never had any. I never delved into the further details. I mean, to me, the celebrity thing, I'm not a big fan of the celebrity thing. I don't even like the word celebrity. It's like it's like they're saying someone's more important than others. And I'm not saying the people that are called celebrities think that themselves, but the way the media, the way culture that we're in calls people celebrities and how they're defined as such does bug me. But again, the people that are on this list and the people that we've even discussed on the Scottish version of the list is certainly some people that can be aspired to, and it does help get the message out there that breaks down the stereotypes. Although maybe sometimes it actually grinds in the stereotypes that have been made.
I was thinking about the climate activist. Sorry, names are evading me. Greta, and like I think that I've seen some of her um I've seen reports of like some of her tweets, and she's been quite strong in her defense of her views and of herself. And I think that she's been somebody who's probably like, the idea of autistic people is like not able to stand up for ourselves, whatever. She's really kind of been able to blow that up and stand up for herself quite strongly. So there's something about that I think is a good trait for, like, as a woman, like for to be celebrated in a woman publicly, I would say. And similar with like, yeah, like I hear all that with like Temple Grandin too, but like Temple Grandin's like she's been very much like herself and quite open about, like, the squeeze box that she'd invented that gave her like the deep pressure that she felt regulated her nervous system. She was so like unapologetic about yeah, this is what I need, this is what I'm doing. I don't know. I think that again we were talking about narrative and stories before, and it's like new kind of narratives, I guess.
Well, that brings us to the end of the broadcast. Thanks very much for everyone who has been involved in the Autistic Days, the Autism Radio Days, Autistic Radio Days, just say Radio Days. It's been fantastic. Everyone's done a great job being involved, and without sounding patronising, it's not. It's been great. It's been great being involved. And going back to the Facebook part of things is thanks for people who have shared these posts. I mean, that particular last post, it was quite lengthy, but it was deliberately read out because it was lengthy and about the conversations it was going to create, and appreciate that. And knowing that it was initially just an Australian list, there was always going to be people in the conversation kind of discussing, links and people regarding to Scotland, which is something that we want to do. That's what these posts are all about. They're about creating discussions, creating sometimes diverse and type of conversations, but that's what it's about. It's a starting point, and I'm glad that we've shared it, and thanks to people that have shared them, so we're able to share them here. So this is Harry's Facebook for the 30th of December 2024, which is the end of the radio days. And thanks everyone for listening and taking part. So thanks again. I keep saying thank you, but I'll say thanks again. And it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it, and everyone's done a great job for making this happen. So thanks to Jules, Raymond, Nicola, Lucy, Dave, everyone who's been involved today, and others that have been involved over the piece. It's been much appreciated, and I wish you good night and wish you a happy new year, and look forward to next year where there's a lot happening and we're looking forward to it. So thanks again, good night.